On Face to Face, we do the interviews with the people who matter, the people who are the news makers, the people who drive the agenda. And this particular person I'm going to engage now is driving the agenda to elect Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia as president of Ghana. He's going to do two things. First, Muslim president in a long time. A first northern person leading the NPP into elections. Again, breaking the age. That's a bigger agenda of the New Patriotic Party. So my guest is going to be a key strategist in this particular agenda. He is a deputy campaign manager. My name is Umaru Sandamado, and you're welcome to Face to Face. So my guest on Face to Face today, I've spoken to him sometimes in the past when we had to talk about the work he's decided to do for the government, the State Transport Company, a company that we've known to have existed for many years. He's done a lot of revamping and beautification of the whole sector, and many people are jealous of the STC because of Nana Akomea's golden touch. We've seen what he has done, bringing 100 buses on recently. I'll talk to him briefly about STC, who is the managing director. However, he's just been appointed overnight as the vice chairman of the Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia campaign for election 2024. He was member of parliament for Okaikwe South. He was minister for various portfolio in the Kufuor government, and now MD of the State Transport Company. He was also director of communication of the New Patriotic Party. Nana Akomea, you're welcome.
Thank you, Umaru.
How are you doing?
It's always good to speak to you.
You look very fresh. It's like you are not stressed at all. For a driver's mate and a big bus like that, being a mate on an STC bus is a lot of work.
Well, the name of the game is to keep your faith with God. That's all.
The God factor.
Absolutely.
I see. And it's been helpful for you so far.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
I see. How is it coming? First of all, talk to us about the campaign structure that was outlined by the flag bearer and vice president. I don't know which one to use. I'll be interchanging it. So he started from the top, campaign chairman all the way. Who was a key plan? Roll it out for us, please.
I think when you look at the campaign structure, you can see that the vice president has been very careful in blending the structure. So you have people like President Kufuor, President Akufo-Addo, and you have all members of the National Council of the party. And you have people like Joyce Ayi, you have people who command a lot of respect. One former president, one president, the chief of staff is also in there. And then just below them, you have the campaign management. The campaign management, there are three of us who are the chairman.
So the first people you've mentioned are advisors.
They are advisors.
Okay.
These are the elders in the house. So when there's any major issue, they would have to resolve it. Like they are like the Abriwa, the old lady of the house. And then below them is the management of the campaign, the day-to-day management. And even the management, you have the chairman of with Dan Botry, and then myself and another person as the deputies. Then you have the management team, which is headed by Opari and Sam, and from another 4 or 5 people, then the communications, then the operations and all of that. But you could see that he's been careful to ensure that all directories of the party are included and that everybody will put their hands on deck. I've heard a complaint that there are so many big personalities that there's going to be
a clash of egos.
A clash of egos. But fortunately, I believe, with my knowledge of many of these personalities that the key will be to work together. I will be surprised if any of us tries to do a solo or just a small team decision taking and implementation, that every little decision will be taken at broad meetings, and that will maximize the strength. So I see the people. I've worked with Dan Botry since before I entered Parliament, when he was the Director of Operations, appointed by Peter Alajete, the chairman of the party. So this must have been 2014. At that time, I was also a young man who was...
1994, you mean?
1994, yeah, sorry, 1994, 1995. And he was the Director of Operations. And at that time, Alajete, the chairman, made two key appointments, the Director of Operations and the Director of Communications. At that time, many people don't know it. Dan Botry was the Director of Operations. I was the Director of Communications.
Are you serious?
Way back 1994. And
that young?
Yes.
Even before Kufuor became flag bearer?
Way. So I've worked with Dan a lot. He's strong-willed, but he's a team player. And all of us are team players. And you are going to see a lot of teamwork. And once we work as a team, egos are put to the back. So I don't have those fears at all.
So that's why you have the advisors in there. But there could be people who are trying to catch somebody's eye and they decide to do, something that they should not do, or possibly trying to, over perform just to impress somebody.
Which people?
I don't know. I'm just saying because it's a team.
There's a lot of enthusiasm. I get surprised when people tell me that the odds are against us and that we have no chance at all in the elections. I get surprised. Fine, the odds may be against us, but it's still a long way to the elections. The elections are in December, so it's still a long way. But I can't understand when people rule us out completely, because the level of enthusiasm in the party and those working for the campaign, the level of enthusiasm is so much that it's difficult to believe that we should be ruled out completely. And it's going to get even more apparent as we go along. Yesterday, the Vice President commissioned the new
tap and go.
App, the tap and go at Metro Mass, just around the corner. And after the event, he went to Kaneshi Market. I have to send you the footage. I mean, this was an unplanned visit. He just went to Kaneshi Market, and the whole place was at a standstill. So I like those who believe that the NPP campaign, it's a write-off. They should go on believing so.
You also have women on the campaign team. Joyce Haye, a woman of God, has got tongues wagging. What was the idea? Do you want to share with us the idea behind putting Reverend Joyce Haye in there?
Well, what I know is that Ms. Joyce Haye has been a very dedicated supporter of the NPP.
Even though she was a Rawlings appointee.
She's spoken to me several times about NPP matters. And if I were to show you her WhatsApp messages to me about the party, so there was a point I asked her, but when did you become NPP? Because she's very dedicated, and I'm happy that she's been put into the advisory team. She's going to bring a lot of mature advice to the campaign. I'm so happy that she's in there.
What about the issue of Dr. Bawumia represents young, fresh blood in the party, and Akufo-Addo represents the old, and forgive my language, it's not supposed to be offensive, tired side of the NPP. If Akufo-Addo and his team of old party members are tired and retiring, Bawumia should come in with fresh faces. But yet here he is choosing old faces to run his campaign.
You and I had agreed earlier that the advisory council will be the brewa of the campaign.
Okay.
So when things come to a total knot, they say go and ask the old lady. So you don't expect those men and women in the advisory team to be doing the heavy lifting. There are a lot of young people in there who are going to do the heavy lifting. And somebody who has been president for 8 years, and Akufo-Addo has been a very successful politician. He's won NPP primaries in 2008, 2012, 2016. He won presidential elections in this country in 2016 by the largest margin in the Fourth Republic. He's been a successful politician. The government may have some difficulty now, and you can ascribe all kinds of reasons, but you cannot deny the fact that Akufo-Addo has been a very successful politician in terms of managing an election. He's won, and the NPP primaries are not children's play. To win NPP primaries 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, there's a lot of experience right there. J. Kufuor, who you might say spends half his time in a wheelchair, J. Kufuor won elections against the odds in 1990.
Are you referring to the flag bearer?
Yeah, the flag bearer.
So 95 into 96.
He won in 96 against the odds. At that time, all of us thought that the most popular politician was Professor Eduboahene. And J. Kufuor came from the back and overtook Eduboahene, maintained it in 1998, went ahead to defeat the NDC. At that time, the NDC was considered quite invincible in 2000, with Jerry Rawlings still looming large. But J. Kufuor won. He's a very successful politician. And when you have an election as we face this year, you cannot ignore the input of these two gentlemen. So they are not going to do the heavy lifting, but there's a ton of experience that they are going to bring to the campaign.
I see.
So I don't see them as old and tired. And really, it might be difficult to describe Akufo-Addo as old and tired. The man,
he still has fire in his belly?
The energy levels that he's brought to the presidency, even today, I can tell you, many younger people are not able to keep up with the president. When you speak to a lot of cabinet ministers, they'll tell you.
I see. So let's talk about, you have done elections so many times in the past. So if you started this since 94, it means you were involved in the 96 elections, in the 2000 elections. But I think to be in frontline election would have been the one that brought Akufo-Addo into office, where you were director of communication.
Yeah.
How different is this campaign going to be from the ones you've been part in the past? What are the dynamics?
Well, there's a historical phenomenon, which is every party usually will get 8 years. The NPP, the NDC, in the first term, they had 8 years. The NPP, in the first term, we had 8 years. The NDC, in their second term, they had 8 years. The NPP, in our second shot, we also have 8 years. So there's that presumed behavior of the voter that... but really, that is not a serious thing, because the voters don't meet in a room like this. The 14 million voters don't meet in a room like this and decide that we are going to have this. No. So that one, I don't buy it. But the bigger problem that we face is that I believe we have the most vibrant presidential candidate in Dr. Bawumia. But as a government, we are in difficulty today. We are in economic difficulty. Nobody has hidden it. And we all know the major thing that has brought us into this situation. But once you are a government, you would suffer for it. If people don't have money in their pockets, fine. There could be many, many external factors. But
ultimately,
you are the one, the person sitting in front of them that they will blame. And we are suffering for it. That is our biggest difficulty. We know that in a couple of months, maybe 6-7 months, the economy will lift. And the economy will be on an even keel. The signs have already started showing, but they've just started showing. The cedi has been relatively stable compared to the last 2-3 years. Interest rates are still high because government is borrowing heavily from the treasury bill. The external credit is closed, so interest rates are quite high. We agree. Inflation is still high, but it's coming down, but it's still high. The reserves are picking up. Now they're almost 2.5 months of import cover, which is very good. So the signs have started showing. What we need to do is bring the cost of living down, and so that people can begin to feel more credit in their pockets. And we believe that would neutralize the disadvantage that we are suffering from the economy. But our candidate, Dr. Bawumia, pound for pound, one-on-one against John Mahama, we believe that he will be a better candidate. And we are also bolstered by the simple fact that our main opponent, President Mahama, is a tried entity. He is not a new quantity.
Is that not a threat?
No, it's a strength to us because it's a tried quantity. He failed when he was tried, and I'm not the one saying it. His rejection at the polls in 2016 by the ultimate judges, the Ghanaian voter, shows that when he was tried, he didn't perform to their expectation.
So he was rejected.
But
he closed that gap in 2020.
Yes.
Closed it significantly.
But even the gap, the 500,000, is still some of the largest margins in the Fourth Republic. And in fact, it's still the second largest margin in the Fourth Republic.
But also the biggest gap to be closed.
But now he's not meeting Akufo-Addo. He's meeting Bawumia, who has not been tried. Whatever you say, whatever you do, the simple fact is that you have two people vying for one position. One of them has been tried before in that position. He failed and was rejected. The other one has never been tried.
What if the card of the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know? What if that card is thrown at you? What would be your response?
I don't think you believe in the devil you know. It's a saying, it's a cliche. But you, sitting here, do you believe in the devil?
I'm not going to answer you.
So,
I'm sure you know
so it's a cliche. We believe that nobody is going to give the devil a chance. Once you know it's the devil, nobody. So you have two people, one has not been tried. And mind you, President Mahama had the longest first term of any president. He had 4.5 years. No president in their first term had 4.5 years. So he had the longest first term period in the Fourth Republic. And the results are all there for every Ghanaian
but
to see.
But because pound for pound, which is what you have used,
yeah.
He's more experienced as a politician than your candidate.
I'm talking about failure. If you're experienced,
I'm also talking about experience and success in politicking. You've described Akufo-Addo as one of the most successful MPP members. Dr. John Mahama started off as a member of parliament. You were with him, I'm sure, at a point in parliament. He has been vice president, he has been minister, he has been deputy minister, he has been president. So he may have some favors somewhere that your candidate, who is a newbie, who started just in 2008.
If he had any favors, it will reflect in when he was president. So after being president for 4.5 years, if he had any favors, it would have reflected at that time. Yes, he had some favor as president, naturally, but it wasn't enough. That shows you the level of failure that, and mind you, he lost by the largest margin of a sitting president in Africa, not just Ghana.
I don't know of Africa, but of course I know that it's a huge margin. The 1 million.
No, it's never happened. Look, elections in this country, 2000, Kufuor against Mills. What was the margin? Some 200,000 votes.
Akufo-Addo and Mills.
50,000. 50,000 votes. Mahama against Akufo-Addo in 2012. Some 200,000 votes or something. 1 million is totally unprecedented for a sitting president.
So that 1 million...
so it shows you the level of dissatisfaction that Ghanaians had with his work.
But you see, so you don't agree with that. You disagree that... You agree that the 1 million is dissatisfaction or disaffection against Mahama.
Yeah.
But you don't want to agree that if in 4 years he recoups those 500,000 out of 1 million, it goes to speak to the disaffection against your government, and whether or not you believe it, Bawumia being an integral part of that government, the disaffection will rub off on him as well.
I have said so. Okay. That one of the main difficulty that we face is the economy and the disaffection that has come. And I've said to you that we project that in the next 6 months,
things will lift up.
Things will lift up.
Let me take a break and come back. We'll talk about this. This is Face to Face on City TV. My guest is the Vice Chairman of the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign for President 2024. Nana Akomea is his name. My name is Umaru Sandama. This is Face to Face. When we come back, we're going to try and see if it's possible to separate Dr. Bawumia, the flag bearer, from Dr. Bawumia, the Vice President, and Dr. Bawumia, the MPP running mate who did a lot of the campaigning ahead of election 2016, as we talk about the December elections. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. This is Face to Face on City TV. My guest, Nana Akomea, Vice Chairperson of the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign team. Nana, is your campaign going to try and say that the problems of 2017 to 2024 are Akufo-Addo's problems and that we are bringing a new jockey on the horse? Is that what you are going to do? Or you are going to say that he was part of the problem, but he can fix what he could not fix with his boss? What's your message going to look like?
No, I mean, you cannot take Bawumia out of the government. It's not possible. He's the sitting vice president. So there's collective responsibility, and Bawumia has never run away from it. In fact, if you listen to the speech he gave to the country 2 weeks ago, he spent the first 1.5 hours talking about the performance of the government. So this is not the man that you can describe as taking himself out of the government. I heard some funny things coming from mainly the NDC, that Bawumia has betrayed Akufo-Addo, that he has ostracized Akufo-Addo, he has taken himself out of the government. That is just propaganda.
He has failed to defend Akufo-Addo when it mattered most.
And the man has been the biggest defender of Akufo-Addo. During the NPP primaries, where many of the other 10 people thought it was fashionable to present themselves as anti-establishment, Bawumia was the only one of them who would start talking to the delegates about the work of the government before he went into his own vision. So Bawumia is not a person that you can describe as taking himself out of the government. He accepts collective responsibility. But what the NDC has tried to do, not in a clever way, what they've tried to do is actually to say that Bawumia is responsible for whatever difficulty we are in today.
He's not?
How can he be responsible? He's part of the government. There's collective responsibility. But how can you say one person is responsible? And you see, the NDC, when they even say, they don't realize that when they point to Bawumia that he's responsible, 4 of the fingers are pointed to themselves, because if you are going to talk about responsibility for difficulties, if you like, John Mahama, he was president for 4.5 years, and there were immense difficulties in his time. Doomsaw, corruption, the economic difficulties, IMF. So if you are going to assign responsibility to one person, then between a president, John Mahama, and Bawumia, a vice president, who would take the bigger responsibility? So even that debate doesn't help.
At the time when Dr. Bawumia was trying to jab the Mahama government, he targeted Vice President Kwesi Amissah and gave him 170 questions and asked him to answer. Why didn't he direct those questions to Mahama then, who was the ultimate guy who ran the government? It goes to prove the NDC's position then that vice presidents are as powerful.
Two things. What did the NDC say? They asked Amissah to ignore Bawumia. And indeed, he ignored Bawumia. Yes, that's what they did. They said, oh, why would he direct questions at you? Ignore him. And Amissah himself came out to say that he's been asked to ignore Bawumia. But the thing is this. Bawumia was a vice presidential candidate. His counterpart in the NDC was who? Amissah. So, if I'm the chairman of the NPP, my main opposite number will be the chairman of the NDC. I will not be responding to what some constituency chairman or some organizer has said. I'll be responding to the chairman of the NDC. And if I'm president, I'll be responding to the presidential candidate.
But the questions he asked in Amissah were questions that bordered on the economy. And the reason was that...
Not just the economy.
Yeah, but
the 170 issues he raised were all not on the other. There were a lot of
But the reason was that, the thinking was that Amissah chaired the economic management team.
Yes.
So ultimately, the economy rested on his laps.
No, you have seen
Dr. Bawumia's case too.
I don't know
the
if
economy rests on his laps.
I don't know if you have seen this letter from the NDC that talked about appointments onto the economic management team. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
Well, the letter states very, very clearly. I wish I could retrieve it so I can read it to you verbatim.
You can summarize it for me.
The summary is that there was a letter from the NDC
who
appointing
the
directors. Now,
is that on NDC letterhead?
Yes.
No, this of government, this office of the president.
Yes.
Not NDC. Okay.
No, I'm talking of the NDC government. Please read it yourself.
So 23rd November 2010, appointment as member of the economic management team, and is addressed to, who is it addressed to? I don't see who it is addressed to, but it says DSA. I'm not sure who it is addressed to.
Is under there? Distribution.
Yes, it's to Mr. G.H. Newman, Chief of Staff.
Yes, so these are the members of the members who have been appointed onto the economic management team. But keep on reading.
So what's your point?
No, read it. You see.
No, you tell me. You have read it, so you tell me what you want to communicate.
So let me read it to you, because it goes directly to the issue that you are raising about the economic management team. And it says that appointment as member of the economic management team, DSA, pursuant to articles so and so, and as steps to enhance the work of cabinet, it has pleased His Excellency the President to appoint you as a member of the economic management team with effect from 1st June 2010. The second paragraph. The economic management team will be chaired by H.E. the Vice President and shall advise Cabinet on policies as determined by the Chairman of Cabinet. Third paragraph. The economic management team shall report to the Chairman of the Economic Committee of Cabinet. 4. It is anticipated that the economic management team will meet at least once a month. 5. It is the hope of H.E. the President that given your rich experience, you contribute to your quota, blah, blah. And it's signed by J.K. Bebakum-Mensah, Secretary to the President. Now, the important thing is 2 and 3. The economic management team will be chaired by His Excellency the Vice President and shall advise Cabinet. So the function of the economic management team is advisory to Cabinet.
So you're saying
to try and assign ultimate responsibility for economic management to that team is a fallacy.
But the president appeared before Parliament and touted the good work that was being done by the economic management team chaired by his vice president.
Yeah.
The vice president himself touted the economic management team, which he led, and mentioned names of people who were in that team.
You have been touted several times as doing wonderful work at CTFM. You have been touted several times. I have touted you.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that you have ultimate responsibility at CTFM.
Yeah, but that's different.
And also, no, you are talking about touting.
No.
And assigning responsibility.
No, but if the president who heads the government touts you and celebrates, he not only tout, he celebrated the vice president.
As we speak, has the president de-touted Bawumia?
No. So therefore, whatever happens to the government, you should blame the vice president.
Have you heard the president touting the finance minister?
I remember the vice president touting the finance minister.
No, the president. I can show it to you. Touting the finance minister for excellent work he's doing.
Yes, he has.
With fiscal management of the economy.
Yes, he has.
So let's not put too fine a point on it.
But he did. So the point is that, are you saying that as economic management team chair, he was a toothless bulldog, Dr. Bawumia?
And you see, like you said, like I read to you, the work of the economic management team is advisory to cabinet. It's not me saying it, it's official. It's advisory to cabinet. Now, if you even thought that the economic management team didn't give good advice, how do you blame the chairman of the team? Now, mind you, even if you are going to look at the economy of Ghana, you would agree that in the 3 years between 2017 and 2019, the economy was doing well. And in fact, the GDP growth was touted as the best in the world between 2017 and 2019. When COVID came, things, have gone bad. But before COVID, the economy was doing well. Mind you, President Mahama, who you can never leave out of the equation because there is the two of them that are in his time as president, not as chairman of some team. The economic difficulties that attended upon his government throughout and then ended up at IMF, he attributed them to external factors. He said there was a slowdown in China. Slowdown in China in the period between 2013 and 2016. And John Mahama took the economy from a GDP growth of 14% in 2011. And when he was leaving, he has slumped it to 3.4, even that one with IMF support. So when you put the two of them, Bawumia and John Mahama, and you're even going to blame for economy, John Mahama won't win.
Are you sure?
Oh, he won't. I've told you.
We have seen...
And let me add this. When John Mahama goes abroad and he talks about economy, he talks about the central role of COVID in the African economy today. I'm sure you've seen excerpts of his speech at Harvard. And there are interviews that he did with CNN and so on, where he was categorical about how central COVID has been in the situation of African economies. And when you see the excerpts of the Harvard speech, very graphic, very and talked about. But when it comes to Ghana, then they say it's Bawumia. So how does it gel?
If you say that, so your argument is that even if it comes to the economy pound for pound, Mahama did bad, worse than currently, because I have been here. I was here when Mahama was president.
I'm saying Mahama also did badly as president.
Yes.
So if we are going to blame one, it's possible to blame one person. Then between the president and the vice president, who should be blamed? Who deserves the bigger blame?
You see, the difference is that Mahama is a communicator, right? He chaired economic management team, but he's a communicator. Dr. Bawumia is an economist.
Yeah.
He was the Adam Smith of our time when he was campaigning.
Yeah.
He was celebrated by his boss, and he was given the power, we are told, to run all the economic side of things. So you cannot... Mahama may not be an economist, but Dr. Bawumia is.
Yeah.
And so the point is, at what point did Akufo-Addo stop listening to Dr. Bawumia? Because we knew that Dr. Bawumia had all the theories right. What happened when he got to the practical? Does it mean that when he went to cabinet, he was ignored? Is that what happened?
Well, like I'm saying, the EMT that he chaired was advisory. Not even to the president, but to cabinet. The EMT reports to cabinet. Cabinet may decide whatever it wants to do with that advice. If you give Bawumia a little slack, you would agree that even as we speak, he's come out with a certain direction on economic issues, which have been contradicted by the government. Bawumia, for example, came out and told the whole country that taxing digital payments was not the way to go. So you wanted a cashless society. You want people to go to the shop and use the POS, and the money will be paid electronically.
He didn't agree
so they
with
don't
that.
have to take their wallet and count 300 cedis. You want the country to go cashless, because that's the way every serious country is going. Now, if you are going to tax digital payments, then when I go to the shop, I'm not going to use the POS, because it will come with some 5 cedi charge or whatever. I'm going to take the money. So he had stated categorically that he would not be in favor of taxing digital payments. But you know that 2-3 months down the line,
It happened.
the government went ahead to tax digital
And
payments.
these people said, as a good mate, what he should have done, a mate who disagreed with the driver on where they are going to. I mean, you operate a bus system.
Yeah.
If the driver has been assigned to take people to Takwa and he decides to head towards Ho, the conductor on the bus should either disembark or call you to report. He didn't do that.
But life,
And these people say that he should have disembarked.
life is not like that. You are a happily married man. I'm sure once a while you have disagreements with your wife. If you're going to walk out of a marriage because you disagree with something, your wife has put a picture on this side of the wall and you disagree, you thought the picture would look better here, and your wife says no, she likes the picture here. Are you going to walk out of the marriage? You've expressed, or even go and talk about it outside, that, well, as for my wife, she hasn't got a sense of art. You're not going to do that. You've expressed your disagreement in the marriage. At City FM, I'm sure at your editorial meetings, sometimes you disagree with sentiments expressed, or sometimes other people disagree with you. Are you then going to come out and say that, well, this thing that has happened at City FM, I disagreed with Bernard Affler and Richard Sky, and they won't listen? You're not going to do that. And you're not going to resign because there's an agreement. Otherwise, every day people will be resigning.
What's the new path Dr. Bawumia intends to chart?
The new path is as he outlined. He gave us a teaser at the UPSA 2 weeks ago. He says that I am going to reorganize the country's finances. One, I'm going to take off a lot of pressure from the public purse. Roads is a major source of pressure on the public purse. You remember the Gang of Four, which later became the Gang of Six. I mean, these are excellent roads. Tetekwashi to Ebri, dual carriage, nice, started by Kufuor. Achimota through Fanko, that brilliant corridor, all of that, started by Kufuor, using public funds. When NDC came, they said, we can't use public funds. So they went and borrowed money to come. They called it the Gang of Four. Later it became 6. But once you borrow, it's still on the books, puts pressure, because the loan has to be serviced. Bawumia says, these major road infrastructure that are commercially viable, I'm going to have private sector invest in it and have a tolling arrangement to allow private investors to recoup their money and make a profit. So, commercially viable roads like Accra to Kumasi, why should you put it on the government, on the public finance?
Privatize
if you did the tolling arrangement correctly, you would get private investors who will come and build the road for you and toll it at an appropriate rate that can allow them to recoup their money and make a profit. And you have your road.
But he's part of the government that scrapped tolls.
If you take the motorway,
yes,
this fast link between the cities of Accra and Tema, why should it be on the public finance? You can toll it and you get a tolling right, private people can come in and develop it, because everywhere in the world that's what happens.
But you've removed tolls. You are not making that point.
Yes, government has removed tolls because government was going to tax digital payments, and government thought it was raising enough money. Bawumia was against digital payments anyway, so obviously he wouldn't be in. And he had said even way before that the way of financing is tolls, but not this 50 peso toll and so on. Look, you get a tolling arrangement that will say we will do 6 lane between Accra and Kumasi and toll it 50 cities, and people will pay because the gain in traffic. You spend 6 hours on that road. If it's 4 lane, 6 lane, you spend 2.5 hours. That 3 hours that you spend, the fuel that is alone is more than 50 cities, and so on. You need these hard decisions. He says, I'm going to take these things off the public finance. I'm going to downsize government. So the pressure on the public purse will be reduced because of this realignment I'm going to do. Secondly, I'm going to open up the tax system. There are about 14 million Ghanaians who do not pay tax. You and I are part of the 4 million who pay, but there are another 14. Now, because of the Ghana card, 17 million Ghanaians have tax identification numbers now because of the Ghana card. Only 3-4 million of us are paying taxes. But the 14 million who don't pay can now be identified through the tax identification numbers provided by the Ghana card. These are plumbers, artisans, mechanics, people who fix tie on the roadside. They make a lot of money. Painters.
But they're not in the net.
They are not in the net. But they all have Ghana card. They all have tax identification numbers. Bawumia says, I'm going to bring a simplified flat rate for everybody. These 14 million people, Ghanaians who do not pay tax in any form, direct taxes, if they even pay 20 cedis a month and they can do it on their phone, they can register with their...
The volume would make a difference.
So that reforming the tax system, that downsizing the pressure on the government, he says because of that, I can do away with taxes on emissions and e-levy and all of that.
Okay.
About $24 billion are not being collected. If we collect even half of it,
you make up for
we went for IMF for $3 billion.
Let me take this break. This face-to-face on CityTV. When we come back, Dr. Bawumia is still part of this government. Again, the big question is, can a party that has served for 2 terms really break the 8 as the MPP is wishing to? And would Ghanaians say that the sins of Akufo-Addo are purely Akufo-Addo's sins? That's the question I'm going to ask Nana Akomea when we come back. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. This is Face-to-Face on CityTV. Nana Akomea. Nana, so the question, you want to break the 8. On whose records are you going to break the 8? Akufo-Addo's records? Akufo-Addo's records are not looking good in terms of the economy. Regardless of what may be the cause, the victim of the fuel prices would not think of COVID and Ukraine. They would still say, MPP, you remember the campaign of 2000, my tree is not that good, but look at your state of living and vote. That was a tree translation of what Kufuor used at the time, and it was successful. If the NDC uses that now, I should not go against your candidate.
Well, I mean, the track record of John Mahama is nothing to write about. That's the first thing. Because the voter has a choice between Bawumia and Mahama. So assuming you even, in the voter's mind, Bawumia is part of the government's, the difficulties the economy is going through, assuming the voter even thinks so. What is the alternative? What was the economy like in John Mahama's time? Secondly, we believe that in another 6 months, the economic situation will be far improved.
What have you put in place to make you believe so?
But you can see, we talked about inflation coming down from 50 just a year ago to 22, 23. The CD has been, since February, for 1 year, the CD is depreciated by about 9%.
But it's been stable on a very high note. The price of fuel is stable on a very high note. In fact, started going
But it's stable. Fuel went to 23 cities, if you remember.
Yes.
Now it's been in the 12s for a long time.
Which is still a big number.
It's still a big number, but it's improving. And the things that we are doing, the gold for oil is going to put a downward pressure on the price of petrol. Now, the other thing too is, in this initial period of the excitement and everybody talking about Bawumia and Akufo-Addo and all of that, it's going to die down, and what is going to seep through is what are the two gentlemen bringing to the table. What is the vision? What is the offer proposition? This business about, Bawumia is part of Akufo-Addo, is part of the difficulty. If you listen to the NDCs, Bawumia is responsible for the difficulty. All of that will die down.
But if we look at Mahama's track record, we should look at Bawumia's track record, no?
I don't have a problem. Now, I'm saying that one has a track record as president, one has a track record as vice president. The two are not the same. Bawumia is not, they are not competing for vice presidents. They are competing for president. One has been president before. Now, what is going to emerge as we go along the campaign is what the two people offer. John Mahama says 24-hour economy. Me, I don't understand it. Maybe you do. When you ask them, they say it means wache. People selling wache can sell throughout the night. When you ask another person, it means farmers can farm.
But you run a business that does 24-hour economy, so you should understand it better.
Now, I'm running 24 hours not because it has been legislated. You are running 24 hours at City FM not because it has been legislated. It is because the market condition makes it worth your while to run 24 hours. You can't legislate market condition. You can't pass a law and say city or radio stations should run 24 hours. And when you ask them, what does it mean? They say, wache people can sell throughout the night. And how would they say, we'll put street lights there. We'll give free electricity and all of that. So depending on who you speak to, they give you all kinds of advice. So one of them was saying the last time, just this week, that farmers can farm throughout the night. That means they're going to extend electricity to the farmers.
Are you sure they said that to you? Oh. As in go and weed at night or some kind of farming?
On Asempa FM. I'll show you.
Who was the person?
Oyelito. Who's a very key member. Well, she's actually my sister by association.
Okay.
She said, you can farm throughout the day.
Throughout the night?
Throughout the night. Well, throughout the day means all hours. So it's not very clear.
So I think the message is not clear.
Very clear. But Bawumia's message is that I'm going to put this country on the gold standard. One of the biggest problems we've had in this country that affects cost of living is the instability of the city. Because we are an import-dependent economy. We import so much. So there's a demand for dollar. And it makes the city weak. One way of holding your currency is by pitching it on gold. I mean, America, which has the dollar, they have over 8,000 tons of gold. They call a place Fort Knox, one of the heaviest guided places. That's where they keep their gold. You go to the Bank of England, and in the underground vaults, they have over 4,000 tons of gold on which supports the pound sterling. That's why they are able to bluff the euro and all of that. Germany has over 3,000 tons of gold, and they use that to stabilize the currency. We produce the best gold in the world. We have 8 tons. The whole concept of using the gold as a stabilizing force for the currency has not occurred to us since Kwame Nkrumah's time. Bawumia says, I am going to have a gold purchase program by the Bank of Ghana. And statistics from the Geological Survey show that the gold vein in this country stretches for about 43,000 kilometers of gold, proven reserves.
So tap into it.
He's going to tap into it. He's not going to encourage foreigners. He's going to have foreigners come in with the expertise and the capital. But the ownership will be Ghanaians. But more importantly, we would mine the gold for our own reserves. So we're going to have the London Standard refinery here, and we'll mine the gold to that standard. Okay. So we can keep gold as a stabilizing force for our currency.
So that you fix the city.
So you can fix the
city. A lot of things will go
whilst doing the import substitution and so on.
Very well.
I mean, these are ideas that are revolutionary.
Very well.
What is going to do with the tax system and bring in 14 million people. It have a flat rate, so each of them is paying 20 cedis a month, times 14 million every month.
So those are the ideas. So that's the vision. We have to go now, but he launched, your candidate launched the tap and go yesterday. When are you going to introduce that in STC buses?
Oh.
Because digitalization is coming. So you have to also, you have to catch up.
No, actually, we are at the forefront.
Okay.
Yeah, you can buy your ticket online. In fact, 80% of our ticket sales now come from online and Momo. The walk-in buys are very small.
But I thought the tap and go is like the Oyster card system of the UK.
Yeah, the tap and go. All we need to do is to install the POS here.
Okay.
And so when you have the card, you can use the card to buy your ticket.
So the idea is that card is going to be used by all public transport.
That card is a card that allows you to put money on it. So you put 200 cedis on it. You go to the taxi station or the trotro station. If the trotro has the POS in the trotro, then you don't need the mate to say, you are the bag, make it one. No. You just, if it's 40 cedis or 4 cedis, you 4 cedis and it pays. That's it.
And the driver will get his money.
The driver will get his money.
The mate will not run away with it.
No. And it's revolutionary. So the taxis, trotros, buses, everybody. You buy the card. And, they've been running a pilot at Metro Mass. And when we're looking at the figures they give the cars out for free, but really it should be sold for about 5 cedis. The numbers that have come for the card, we were surprised. Even though there hasn't been much publicity, it was a trial period. So now that it's been launched, there has to be a major effort to onboard trotro taxis and passengers to bus. So you don't need to carry money.
We'll find another day and talk about STC, but thank you so much for speaking to us on Face to Face.
It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
It's great to speak to you. Nana Akomea.
Even though you try and harass me most of the time.
A nice baker, Nana Akomea, in his spare time.
That's you mean my cakes?
Yes, he bakes cake in his spare time.
I'll bake a special one for you on Friday.
Please do. And
you and
the team.
Production.
And on official days, he's MD of STC. And in political side, he's campaigning for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Yeah. My name is Umaru Sandamado. This has been Face to Face. Thank you for watching us. Keep watching City TV. It's your world.